Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're perfect timing.
Yeah, Sean.
Sean is right there. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to actually what is the final Growing Our Economy Advisory Committee meeting of 2026. I'll call the meeting to order at 2 o'clock. I know everybody's getting settled. There's another meeting first, and I know people are just getting settled, so we'll just have a short moment of reflection on today's business. Thank you very much. And I just ask at this time whether there is any disclosure of pecuniary interest or any general nature thereof. Looking around, not seeing anything. Thank you very much. I just did want to say as well that Evelyn and Reed unfortunately are out of the country and could not be here today, and send their regrets. Move on to the public participation portion of the meeting. Members of the public are encouraged to provide the committee with their comments and questions. Presentations must be prearranged with legislative services before the agenda is released. Members of the public who wish to make a deputation about a specific agenda item at the meeting must register in advance with the legislative services coordinator by 4 p.m. Of that day by contacting Derek Bruce, Bruce at Meaford.ca or 519-538-1060 extension 1112. Presentations are limited 10 minutes and deputations are limited to 5 minutes. And today we do have a presentation, and I'm going to invite Shannon from SCP Properties to please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, my nervous jitters out. Okay. All right. Thank you for the invitation to present to the Growing Our Economic Advisory Committee today. I'm Shannon Scott Curry, co-manager of our family-owned business SCP Properties, and I'm here to share some info on a co-working business that we recently opened in town and our vision of how this business could help lead the revitalization of our downtown. In Meaford's early years, the downtown was the heart of our town. Bustling, busy, and the center of commerce for Meaford and its outlying rural areas. Financial downturns in the 80s, 90s, and 2008 hit the downtown of many small towns hard. For Meaford, the malls and strip malls drew shoppers to Owen Sound and to Collingwood. Our staple stores like Canadian Tire, Stedman's, Byway, Bardot's, Stuff to Read with Radio Shack have all closed down. Many downtown storefronts lay empty for several years. The result was that the banks and financial institutions survived, and over time, health services and real estate have moved in, enjoying affordable rents for downtown stores as office space. Some have owned or purchased their buildings. Today, Meaford's downtown core is dominated by many service industry and healthcare businesses, which have a small client base, aren't supportive of tourism, and do not rely on walk-in clientele. They could be located just as successfully off the main street. At the risk of bringing up a long-running rivalry, Thornbury and Clarksburg down the highway have made huge strides in gentrifying their downtown. It is true that a higher-end cottage market was already there, and the shops that cater to destination tourists have expanded as a result. Art galleries, bakery, ice cream shop, coffee roasters, antique and clothing boutiques have helped these two towns thrive and create a bustling downtown core. It is important to note that some may not think Meaford needs to revitalize our downtown or assume it will just naturally happen. We also understand that a lot of work and effort has already gone into these revitalization efforts, and the results have shown immense improvements. We've had a great food and retail staples Businesses like McGinty's Cafe, the Leaky Canoe, the Woolen Fabric Shop, and others have sustained us for many years. But the recent opening of many new restaurants, Station 87, Lovebird Brewery, Pom Pom Ice Cream, the Dam Pub, are making Meaford a bit of a foodie destination. There's a lot more potential to expand on this and add more great retail stores like we're starting to see with the Kitchen Cupboard, Book Hive, Robert's Studio, and others. But we believe that our downtown can be even better. We want to suggest a potential opportunity to think about a reset of the shopping mix in the downtown of Meaford. This is just a conversation starter, but the following slides will briefly discuss an opportunity that we see, which the SCP Center and our development-ready office building can help with. Simply put, we'd like to suggest that Meaford should choose a strategic direction it wants to take our downtown. With the demographic growth, sophistication of new residents, an aging population, and many other considerations that go along with this, it's really not simple. But if you consider that Little Clarksburg is now colloquially known as Artsburg, what should Meaford's downtown be known for? Let's take food as an example, or a possible suggestion perhaps. Meaford's a rural town. We've had an explosion in food options in recent years and are developing a great reputation as a destination with great restaurants, a beautiful waterfront, and we have a resurgent boutique agricultural sector, exemplified, of course, with our Big Apple. The direction that our downtown goes in needs to be front and center in Meaford's plans. So, assuming Meaford decides it wants to attract food-centric storefronts to the main street, is there space? Where would they go? A brief walk of our downtown strip highlights 9 healthcare and hair-related storefronts and 8 financial, real estate, and insurance offices. There is a great strip across from the Meaford Hall with a cluster of restaurants. Can the town of Meaford improve on this? If not food, what direction do we want to go in? No matter the direction, we believe there needs to be a plan. Here's where SCP Properties holds a few key cards that may support a downtown revitalization effort. The SCP Center is a large industrial commercial space with flexible zoning that provides a home to several larger retailers and services, like the new Meaford Athletic Club. But a lesser-known 14,400 square foot office building is sitting in plain sight, just one street off the downtown, ready for development. We're working to bring this building back to life, and it could help provide a base for a number of Meaford businesses. With 3 levels, we have 9,000 empty square feet of space that could be easily modernized into professional office space. We just need a plan and some tenants. Why are we here today? We were originally invited by Rob Urig to discuss the co-working corner. We've taken a 3,000 square foot section of the old Amarok head office and modernized it with a new heat pump, updated flooring and bathrooms, LED lights, and some modern touches. Its retro modern vibe provides locals who work from home with many options to work in a professional work environment. We have hot desks, private offices for rent permanently or for a day if you need it. We're very proud of our fabulous new boardroom. It seats 12 with a modern smart TV and technology, a great presentation area, and varied lighting. We have a second meeting room for smaller meetings and presentations. The co-working corner works like a gym membership. You can try it out for a day, buy a 4-pack or an 8-pack of monthly passes or a monthly membership. Or simply come on in and book one of our meeting rooms. It provides Meaford businesses and even the municipality with space for private meetings or inexpensive, flexible workspace. It's much cheaper than building new office space. It's just getting off the ground, and it's not yet the hotbed of activity that we expect, but we envision this space becoming a very busy entrepreneurial community and a benefit to our town. The co-working corner is also the key to unlocking the potential of the other 2 floors of empty space. Here's my pitch. I feel like I'm on Meaford Dragons as a participant rather than a sponsor today. SCP can retrofit to spec individual or business office spaces. Those include membership in the co-working corner. This allows businesses to share spaces that they each currently pay for but use infrequently. For example, every one of those spaces on the downtown has a kitchen, bathrooms, meeting or staff rooms, desk or work zones. The co-working corner allows small businesses to rent a smaller footprint at a more affordable cost than the main street and still enjoy the benefits of a larger space with all the amenities. They can be part of a community as a destination professional or medical office location, just one street off the downtown core, with tons of accessible, close parking for staff and customers. We are suggesting that the Growing Our Economy Advisory Board and the town of Meaford has the opportunity to design the near future of our downtown by using soft and hard tools such as marketing, incentives, disincentives, social license, and working collaboratively with Meaford downtown businesses. It is possible to create a formal plan for an improved destination downtown. SCP Properties is able to support this plan by providing affordable, flexible, high-end office space that caters to and supports the movement of non-strategic businesses from the downtown Main Street. We have a proven track record of a dozen successful, thriving commercial warehouse and retail businesses within the SCP Center's commercial side. The office building at the SCP Center has 9,000 square feet of development-ready space. I'm anticipating your question of why would an established business want to move from the downtown to the SCP Center? First, developing a municipal strategy would build awareness of the value of the downtown space to our town and alter the social license for downtown businesses. The strategy would need to be developed by the town in a way that makes sense and does not hurt long-running Meaford businesses. No one wants to force businesses to move. Just hopefully create the right conditions that make more sense to be off the main street and to try to communicate options to our storefront business owners. In summary, it would be cheaper and more cohesive for businesses to rent space in the SCP Center professional building than downtown storefronts. Using the co-working corner advantage, creating a destination of similar professionals with ample parking, all in a very convenient location for customers. Ideally, we want to focus on one group of businesses, which creates a relatively homogeneous office environment where amenities can be shared and that creates a destination. We think that the healthcare services is the largest and most practical group to promote as a synergistic group of businesses all together in one spot. As mentioned, with 9 health-related storefronts on the main street, we've recently had several inquiries from health and therapy practitioners looking for non-existent space. But developing a 4,500 or 9,000 square foot footprint requires a decent budget and critical mass. We need help. So we've been developing this plan for success. We believe having a new walkable medical or health services center in the middle of town would be a huge boon to the aging and growing Meaford population. We believe we can make this happen, and we'd like to work with the municipality of Meaford to make this belief a reality. We believe it starts here with the Economic Advisory Board of Meaford. This is a very preliminary presentation outlining a broad opportunity and just one local business's offer to work collaboratively with our town. The issue of downtown revitalization and a vision for a solution is obviously not the only priority of this committee or of the town of Meaford. We're grateful for the opportunity today to share the details of our recent opening of the co-working corner in a small portion of the office building. Thank you, Rob, and this group for inviting us to share our vision of what we hope to achieve in the future as we continue to innovate and grow just down the road at SCP Properties. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shannon. I really appreciate you coming to make the presentation, and it's actually very encouraging to see. You have a new business, I know, just opening beside the gym is the golf center, I believe, the
Yeah.
indoor golf simulator. That's really exciting as well. So it's nice to see the building growing.
Thank you.
But thank you. So I'll turn it over to, would anyone on the committee have any questions or comments for Shannon? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can start. And Shannon, as well, my thanks for being here today. Your space is beautiful. I know you posted a chamber after 5 and we've had a chance to tour your co-working spaces, and they are just as you said, they're modern and they're just functional and a really wonderful addition to Meaford. And as Councillor Urick well knows, we've been discussing budget this week, Monday and Tuesday, and part of that discussion has included a funding request for a downtown and harbor master plan, which will be an opportunity to look at both of those spaces and to do almost exactly what you're suggesting, to look at revitalization, what the linkage can be between the harbor and the downtown, look at beautification, look at all of those sorts of things, which takes us to a point really of almost completing a visioning exercise. So your timing is so perfect to be here today as we're embarking on this process, which will take some time and will have lots and lots of community involvement. So we'll certainly want to make sure that you're included in those conversations, because you do offer a perfect space, particularly as you're suggesting as a focus for healthcare. And I think that's so desperately needed as we talk about our efforts with doctor recruitment. And of course, attached to that is, if we did attract a doctor, where are they going to practice? So knowing that your space is available for that really, really means a lot in those efforts. So congratulations again, and thanks for being here, Shannon.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Shirley Keaveney. I'd just like to say, I don't think doctors are the only things that Meaford needs. There's lots of ancillary health services that go along with that. So if we could put them all in one spot, or some congregated together, it's really complementary. So with a doctor or any other health practitioners together, it's great for the community. So I'm not surprised to hear you're already thinking about the revitalization of downtown, and by any means, anything that we can do or help with, or just keep us in mind. We'd be really interested to be part of that process. Thank you.
Kelly.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Do you have timelines for this expansion planned?
We don't. As I said, the building is about 15,000 square feet. We have finished the co-working space and just opened that. The rest of the space is essentially development ready. It is laid out fairly well with, excuse me, 2 4,500 square foot floors. There's lots of offices and delineating walls in there already. So with the right tenant or combination of tenants, it's not that complicated to complete a section or both sections of a floor, but they do go floor by floor. So we could, with zoning, with development, with a tenant, with leasing, we could turn it around fairly quickly.
And just to build on Shirley's comment is, in addition to that, the other plan that's being proposed is this committee has talked about the importance of a business retention and expansion study. And I think that will give you some really interesting insight into finding some of the people who are looking to expand or finding it constrained at their current location. You already have a good understanding of the business mix, which is great. And the fact that there's already this potential that's ready is a huge asset to the success of an implementation from recommendations that would come out of a BRNE study. So thank you.
That's really interesting to hear that as well. That would be the second area of sort of knowledge that we need to figure out who are our target market in this community. We've had such a resurgence of people moving to the area, and there's a lot of youth and a lot of entrepreneurs and young businesses and a lot of people who want to start businesses that have left things behind. We want to provide the location where they can, run with their ideas. And that was the idea with the co-working corner.
Anyone else? Michael, go ahead.
Mike Izenga, we haven't met, Shannon.
Hi.
Thank you very much for that. That was a great, interesting and aspirational presentation, and we like that.
Thank you.
I wanted to try and knit together a couple of the pieces, though, just in a really practical way, because you also talked about sort of a central strategy for Meaford, and particularly focused on downtown, and even more focused, I think, at one point on Main Street. And so I take it, and I hope I didn't hear something wrong, but I take it the vision would sort of be to take some of those healthcare service facilities that are on Main Street
Mhm.
and kind of move those, if it was an attractive proposition, move them off to this facility, and then build up our reputation as a foodie center, which typically is going to be along the Main Street. So it's kind of that simple in one way. Move the physiotherapists into your facility and move more restaurant type foodie things onto the Main Street. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, if foodie is the way we want to go, antique market, foodie, art gallery, pick something. If you have a goal, you can work towards it. We think that those businesses on the main street don't necessarily need to be there. The customers, parking, all of those other things. If we had a great section downtown that was a great mix of restaurants and retail or something else, whatever the section is, we suggest food because we're already heading in that direction successfully. That we can take those ancillary health services and other things, as you say, the physiotherapist, perhaps hearing, podiatrist, those sorts of things that don't need to be on our main street. The clients can go anywhere. Move them off of there and let's revitalize that downtown with other things.
Yeah.
And for those businesses, they can pay less too, right? You don't all have to have a kitchen and a bathroom and a boardroom in every single one of those spaces. We can provide that for them as co-working corner members. They can have a cheaper, smaller footprint.
Yeah, and it seems to me it's probably a little bit of a points on the scale question, right? I mean, galleries around restaurants are good too,
Absolutely.
but what you're known for is what you're suggesting would be helpful for us to think about. I don't know this, and if there's data on whether we're too far, it feels like it, whether we're too far from the hills. Could be a ski
From the
town.
ski hills?
Yeah, it feels like it to me, but do you have information on that? Has anybody studied that?
I don't. We are skiers ourselves. So we go against the flow because we go to the ski hill. Everybody else is coming here. I mean, this is not a surprise. There doesn't need to be a report that the proximity to the ski hills has strengthened Clarksburg and Thornbury's downtown. We might be a little bit further, but our population is growing and the number of houses that we're building, those are all people moving from the city or from other places. They're going to need jobs. They're going to need a place to buy their clothes, their socks and underwear, and they're want to go out to our fantastic theater. They go to our restaurants already now before the theater. Why not shop as well? We think all of these lead to the strengths of that downtown. A strong downtown will keep people in Meaford.
Being just off the Main Street means those people are there to support the Main Street too.
Absolutely.
traffic
There's a
and
ton of businesses.
Yeah.
We think foodie for downtown, and we think a health or professional services, whether it's doctors or the ancillary services for health, is what should be in our building. But we're open to other ideas. We're just trying to, make some positive suggestions as active business community members and share our ideas and provide our support to help as this process moves along.
Well, but what I really appreciate about that is you're being very candid. That to some extent, it does involve moving people. Like it's not all, let's do this and people will come. There is a question about what happens to the other folks, right?
Absolutely.
And it's sort of a clear-eyed thing that if you did this, Main Street would potentially lose some of its current tenants.
Absolutely. And as a landlord, we don't want to affect anybody else's business. We're very, very aware of that. So it's a fine line between what's good for Meaford, what's practical, what's reasonable. Are retail rates higher than the rates that they're paying now? All of these have to be taken into effect. This is a proposal and a suggestion and an idea that we're bringing today. If somebody doesn't propose it or talk about what they're thinking about, it doesn't happen. What happens inside my head needs to come out into the open, right? So as a family, we've been here since 1982. We want to see what's best. And this is one of our ideas. We've proven our success off the Main Street. Maybe we can help with a little bit of something on the Main Street.
So bit more private, but I'll talk to you later, get your number, because I can think of some people for whom a co-working space would be very attractive.
Oh.
In other communities that I've been active in, often charitable NGO communities and the arts communities, right?
Absolutely.
They are really into this kind of thing, and it can be very helpful. We
Mhm.
did it out of a charity one time.
Oh, well, there you go.
Developed a co-working space for everyone else, and it was very successful thing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Underneath our co-working space, incidentally, we have an open 3,000 square foot area. And our goal is, with the success of the co-working space in time, we'd like to open that area up. It has the ability to be a meditation space or ping pong tables and a pool hall or just a meeting space for our community. I know we have a lot of groups that run by volunteers in our community, and the more places that we have where they can congregate or meet or have youth meet or come up with ideas for the community, all the more better for the community. So if we can succeed in the co-working space, we'll be able to afford to put some of those ideas in place down there and provide another spot for people in Meaford. We have lots of ideas.
Sounds like it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. I look forward to talking to you after.
Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Shannon. Good
Thank-
to see you again.
Thank you. Ron.
One of the items you haven't mentioned is the parking availability that you have at your facility.
Mhm.
And transforming any of these businesses from the main street, of course, will free up parking for the main street. And in addition, I know you have lots of parking available
Yes.
there as well. So it's another point that might be great to reposition some of these businesses.
Thank you. That's a very good point. I did briefly touch on that in the presentation, but we do have 9 parking lots over there with room for about 400 cars. And I know parking downtown is an issue. So if we can get some of those cars off of the main street parking spots, that's somebody else who can stop and shop at the kitchen's cupboard, you know? I know it's an issue for downtown, so we can help with that.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing nothing, thank you, Shannon. Just a couple of points that sort of have been already discussed. As Kelly said, and I know that you already work with our small and medium business liaison, Jess.
Yes.
So yeah, so hopefully she will be able to, working on the business directory for the new website as well is kind of one thing that's on the slate as well.
Mhm.
So hopefully, again, between that and the BRNE, which we're hopeful of, I know we've applied for a grant, we're waiting to hear, and we're hopeful. If that comes to fruition, then yeah, hopefully there can be good conversations between the municipality and SCP. What really struck me is when you talked about in there is I've been a squeaky wheel at this horseshoe talking about the visioning exercise that this body has kind of suggested to council on many occasions. Deputy Mayor did talk about the visioning or talked about the master plan, and our CAO did comment that a visioning would be kind of part of that process, which is really good to hear, because you're right, we need to who we're going to be when we grow up and what do we want to be, and figure out what direction we will have from there. So I think that'll go again, hopefully the SCP can be a big part of that. And the last comment I would just make, Michael, when you talked about our location and proximity to the ski hill, it's funny how when you talk to people at the hospital, they prefer to come here to Collingwood just because you can be seen quicker. We have many advantages here that other places don't. So I don't think that distance is necessarily a barrier by any way, shape, or form. So hopefully we can take advantage of all that.
Great points. Great points, Rob. I agree.
Thank you again very much for making the presentation. I think it's wonderful what you're doing with the building, and hopefully we can do anything we can do to help you succeed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us today.
So moving on to the approval of the minutes I'm going to make a recommendation that the minutes of the November 19th, 2025 meeting of the Growing Our Economy Advisory Committee be approved as presented. They were obviously in your package. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at them. May I have a seconder on that, please? And thank you, Michael. Are there any comments, questions? You're right. I am asking for, you're right. I'm used to sitting in those chairs. I'll ask for a mover and a seconder, and then we'll move on. Jeez. I'll move Michael to mover and seconder, please. And Kelly, thank you very much. Now, are there any questions or comments on said? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's approved. Thank you very much. Under items for consideration, we do have a final report of the Growing Our Economy Advisory Committee, and I'm going to turn that over to Allison in a second. I know our CAO, Sean Everett, is here, and I know he has a hard stop today. I did ask him in advance if he would be willing to just give a little overview of kind of where we're at with the budget. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, Sean, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Happy to say that Monday and Tuesday of this week, Monday we did our operations budget, and Tuesday we did our capital budget, and Friday of this week we are going to go into our user fees budget. Hopefully by the end of Friday, we're in a position where all of the amendments are heard, and this is a bit of a different process that we went through this year because of the strong mayor powers. So if the mayor determines that he does not wish to use any veto powers by the end of Friday, we would be in very good shape to say that we've got a budget that we can move forward with. So when Chair Urick asked me just to speak to the budget, a couple of the big points were already raised during the previous presentation. Had, I believe, really good discussion yesterday morning in regards to the harbor and downtown master plan process. There was $400,000 identified in that project over 2 years. The intention is that of that master plan is the visioning piece, to really look at the harbor, the downtown core, the areas around the downtown core. And the discussion was fantastic, where we talked about, making sure that the connectivity was also included in that, and that connectivity going to Beautiful Joe and Legion Park and all those areas that can connect the urban area to that downtown core. So there was that project, and then there was the BR&E that we're really looking forward and hopeful that we get the grant funding. The other piece that I just want to bring to the attention outside of the budget is through the work that we've been doing with the Ontario Pump Storage proposal and our cost recovery model that we have with TC Energy. We currently have a social and economic community readiness study underway. That is being completed by Deloitte. That's, I believe, was a $200,000 project. And the municipality will have full cost recovery, so TC Energy will be paying for that. So there are very key stakeholder engagements that are taking place now with Deloitte, and we're hopeful that that report is completed by the end of March. This is a report that, quite frankly, should have been done probably about 5 years ago, but Deloitte has stayed on schedule to do an expedited process. So again, that'll be really great information for us to understand where our strengths are and where our weaknesses are, and that will be all encompassing of roads, healthcare, education, policing, the whole 9 yards. So that's a pretty exciting piece. So from a budget perspective, we feel that we're pretty confident that we can hit the ground running. The last piece I just want to say, just to this group, part of the budget as well was the repayment plan for the industrial and commercial lands that the municipality purchased late in 2025, and we purchased the second piece early 2026. Gives us just over 25 acres of land, and working with the County of Grey, feel we have a really good plan moving forward. It was interesting that out of our 9 municipalities in Grey County, we are actually the only municipality that actually has industrial land within municipal ownership. which puts us in the driver's seat. So really want to commend council for that commitment to pursue purchasing that property. I will be coming forward in the first quarter with a land acquisition disposition strategy that will look not only at other opportunities to potentially acquire land, but also now we have to pay for the land. So look at lands that can be declared surplus in a very strategic way. So lots of things that I think are putting us in a really good position that will leave a legacy for this term of council and ultimately put the new term of the 2026 to 2030 term of council in a really good position of moving the needle on that economic development forefront. So thank you for indulging me the time because I do have a hard stop right about now.
I figured that I'll give a brief opportunity for brief questions. Anybody might have a question for Sean before he has to run?
I just missed the timing. Sorry.
No,
Excuse
go
me.
ahead,
I just missed the
Michael.
timing on the Deloitte report.
The Deloitte report should be done by the end of March. So that's what we're gearing towards, especially with the consideration. That report's going to be critical information for our community benefit agreement and understanding where those weaknesses are, so to help negotiate.
And which Deloitte, sorry, ask a granular question like this, but which Deloitte office is it?
The Toronto office. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, if I don't see anything else, I'd also just like to publicly thank Sean and staff again on behalf of this committee for everything the work and the cooperation that we've had in working with this committee before you're off, as well as for how smoothly the budget has gone. It's been actually a real pleasure actually working on this budget. You don't often say that, and it's been a good experience. So thank you for your leadership in that. All right, thank you. So moving on to 6A, the items for consideration, which will be the final report of the Growing Our Economy Advisory Committee. I'll read the recommendation this time. I won't actually move it. That the Growing Our Economy Advisory recommend council of the municipality of Meaford, one, consider the feedback and observations outlined in the report, together with feedback received from the advisory committee in response to the report, in the development of a future committee structure, and two, direct staff to incorporate this feedback into future recommendations to council regarding the proposed committee structure. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Kelly and Michael, thank you very much. Discussion. Actually, I'll turn it over to Allison for the presentation, and then we can ask any questions.
Thank you. I will just introduce the report very briefly.
Sure.
So this report does offer us a history of the committee of where it started in 2024. And offers staff's perspective on how the structure could be improved going forward. But really what we're looking for here, and as the recommendation sort of states, that we're hoping to sort of understand from the committee where you think we could do better, and understanding what Sean has just explained about the exciting things to come. How can we use those reports and studies and plans to set the framework for a future committee structure that allows council to best use your expertise and time to inform staff, to support staff in going from plan that council's approved and work plan that staff have formulated to meet those goals. How can we fit the committee in to make sure that staff are getting good advice and council are getting good advice in moving forward? With that, because I know you've all read the report, I will just open the floor to any questions or feedback that you'd like to provide in response.
So I'll through you, Mr. Chair, I'll be sort of brief, but the encouraging thing about the report is very personal for me. I've having been up here for only about 5 years and served on this committee for a couple. I thought that I was, just slow to kind of figure out how things work here. And as it turns out, people have been here for quite a while, kind of have trouble figuring out how things work here. And there's been a real transparency, I think, in candor from elected members, staff, and so forth about a need to put that together in a way that is more helpful. Because I think your you're right. There's a lot in the way of resources that can be drawn on. It's actually a pretty exciting time. But got to figure out the right path to get there. It's not just having great ideas, but, you know, because lots of people say we should do this, but the real next question is who should do it and how do we do it?
Thank you.
Kelly.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about, it referenced a survey that's going to be done, and if you could explain the timing and how that feedback will roll into this report.
Certainly, and through the chair, the idea of the survey is that it will follow an iteration of this report being presented to each of the committees that are set to be disbanded. And so once we've presented the report to all three committees, there'll be a survey, an anonymous survey sent out to all of the members of all three committees. And the idea being that if you have feedback that you don't wish to share in this forum, that staff could still receive that, and it wouldn't necessarily be tied to you as an individual. And that would still be incorporated into the report that will be provided to council. And that report to council will be sort of the first step in developing the new framework. So the survey responses would be rolled into the new structure, the recommendations for the new structure, just the same way as any feedback provided today.
Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think going forward, I did a few items that I thought would help this committee going forward. Basically, this has been my first term on the committee, so there's some of these suggestions would have helped me initially when first meetings to be more effective. So I think one of the things under mandate, we should clearly define the goals and the terms of reference for the committee. For example, we could have used the 2020 strat plan to look at and tick some of the boxes in there. So I think we have to agree with a mandate with council and clearly define the expectations of this committee. I'm somewhat goal oriented, so therefore I'd like to tick some of those boxes. In addition, I think we should have, we've had discussion, formalize the vision for Meaford. That was addressed early on with this committee, and I think it should be formalized. I think also if we set goals and objectives, we can establish a report card at the end and measure what we've accomplished and determine and evaluate our effectiveness going forward. One of the other items, the strat plan is 2020. I was hoping we could get an update for that because council and staff have been ticking some of the boxes in the strat plan, namely investment ready with respect to property, harbor master plan, downtown master plan, inventory of municipal properties that our CAO has just developed. I think the other thing too, that our committee, if there are municipal projects coming forward, I think this committee should be willing to comment on those. They should be brought to this committee for comment. The issue there may be timely responses to this because we only meet 6 times a year, which could make it difficult to give timely responses to projects or that council may want us to comment. The other thing too is sort of understanding the structure of this committee. I think we need to provide a clear understanding of the responsibilities. For example, the scope of the committee's responsibilities and commitment required could be an impact to the ability to attract volunteers. A lot of people aren't going to want to commit a lot of time, but I think that should be put forth initially so they can make their decision. Also, recruitment of board by members of either council or staff, and they should make certain that the same ideas are disseminated to each of the prospective candidates. I think the other thing, we should broaden our view, and we should be looking at a member of the Chamber of Commerce being on this committee, possibly a person to represent events in our community. Also, short-term rentals, possibly there should be a representative from there. So I think we may have to expand the committee, but I think we should get a good grounding from the people in the municipality. The other thing we should have is a committee member to be part of or attending Grey County economic committees and with a responsibility to report back to the board. I think the other thing that we should do is involve people or groups outside of our committee. We have Scarecrow, we have Summerfest, and so on like that. Invite them in, because we are a committee that's advising council. And I think involvement with those people can give us a better perspective of the community to advise council. So those are some of the observations that I've had, and I've provided the deputy clerk with a copy as well. So that's my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ron. Excellent, very thorough. Appreciate it. Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Chair, I think that leaves me. Thank you very much. And no, well done, Ron. That covers a lot of ground and I think will be a big help to Allison. I think I start with the thought that, you know, a new committee won't be formed potentially until after the election, and the new council will look at strategic priorities and determine, you know, what the advisory committees will be if they choose to have any. So there would be an assumption, I think, that there would be something related to economic development, but we won't know that until that time. I think it is one word that always comes to mind for me is communication. And I think I know Councillor Uhrig, you know, speaks to council about the activities of this committee, but I always think of how there could be a greater linkage from the discussions at this committee to our council. I mean, I think the reality is that during this particular term of council, Meaford has come a long way in terms of economic development. And I would love to say that this committee could take all the credit, but I don't think any one body can take all the credit. It has just organically happened. I mean, we just heard, look what's happening at SCP Center, and we know that from the businesses on our downtown and the ribbon cuttings that we've had, and the growth and the new residents and the construction and the industrial lands, all of that. I mean, we just have reached, I think, a number of the goals that members have been focused on. So one way or another, things are getting done. I know Ron mentioned, we call it PDAC, the Planning Economic Development Advisory Committee at Grey County, which I do chair. I think going forward, and yes, I've been remiss, I could have spoken more to those activities because they are at times quite relevant to us here in Meaford, and Jessica does attend those meetings as well as a couple of other members of our Meaford community. But I think those minutes could be included with our own package, whether it's in communications or how those would like to be added, because we have some pretty interesting conversations over there. So, and you know, Ron also mentioned the meeting schedule, the 6 times a year, I think allows people to not feel particularly connected or productive. And is there an opportunity next term to look at that meeting schedule and try to increase it to, you know, once a month would be wonderful if the committee really wants to get their hands dirty, so to speak, and take on projects and really get involved. So those predominantly, Allison, are my thoughts.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to thank you. I think that's really valuable. All of you. Thank you. And sorry, I see.
Thank you. Yes, all excellent points. I agree with everything that was said. The frequency of the meetings is always a big one. I know some of the people do feel disengaged when I talk to some of the members. The only other thing I think it would add to anything that's already been said is that, so we've now experienced this term of these advisory committees, and I know, and I thank the members of this committee for being as engaged as they are, because we've had reports from other committees that some of them often had difficulty having quorum. Sometimes some of the committees, they had difficulties getting kind of participation. People would be there, but there really wasn't a lot discussed. And so there was even a discussion, and this alludes to Deputy Mayor's point about what it's going to look like in 26 after the election, but just about the potential combination or reconfiguration of the committees to make sure that they do provide full value and opportunity for the members to make sure that they're having fit into the right slots first off, and an opportunity to really kind of participate in a proper way. So the only other question I had for you, Alison, was, and I don't think we actually discussed this, so each committee chair is supposed to actually make a final report to council. Do we know when that is kind of planned to be done to council? Where in this coming year?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the idea would be that you and I, the chair and I of each committee, would work together to synthesize the feedback from this report and that we received from committee members.
Yep.
And then that would be presented by each chair. We're hoping for the March 23rd meeting, and that would allow us to meet the timeline that was set out in the November report for disbanding by the end of March.
Perfect. All right. Is there any, Kelly?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do have feedback in terms of, I echo Ron's comments and Shirley's comments, but I wanted to add, in addition to that, is specifically when clarifying the mandate of the committee, I would like to see stronger alignment with how that feedback from the committee feeds into either information that's going up to council or going to staff. And then specifically related to budget related activities, I've been on the committee for 2 budget cycles at this point, and in both times I saw items proposed in the budget that I hadn't heard about at this table, and I find that a little surprising, or I feel it could be strengthened if there was in the business cases that are presented in the budget, to have a section that captures input from the advisory committee, for example. So while I realize it's not our role to present things, but if we are in an advisory capacity, that should be captured somewhere. And so if there's something coming forward of significance, it's good to know that it's gone through a committee with the expertise and what did we hear from them. And if there is, for example, differentiation between what the committee is advising and the direction that you're going, that should be information that the councillors have at their fingertips to understand and to be able to, you know, factor in when making decisions.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think that's a very wise thought. It's just specific to the business cases, and it is something that we are thinking about. We are also currently working on revising our procedure bylaw, which is sort of what governs the procedures of council and of committees. And one of the things that we're thinking about is how do those recommendations that the committee makes get fed back up to council, and how do we make sure that things aren't missed or lost? And so thank you. That's something that we will incorporate here too. In closing, if I may, there were just a couple of other things I wanted to add. So the survey that we did discuss earlier, please do fill it out. It will be anonymous and it'll come to you by email within the next couple of weeks. And the last thing was just a thank you from our small and medium business liaison, Jessica. She's at the EDCO conference this week, so she couldn't be here, but she's learning lots and she will have lots to keep economic development moving forward. We'll work between terms of committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And yeah, just putting this to bed, we talk a lot about recommendations. Some of the recommendations this group has made. One of them again being that updated strat plan, and that's something I kind of mentioned probably to excess. But it is comforting to know that what they're talking about with the master plan is being part of that. But I still believe, and Ron, you made the point in there about the strat plan being really crucial. I mean, we are literally the growing our economy committee, so you can't get much more specific. So that strat plan, and I know I've asked the CIO before, we don't really have kind of a date for that, or a kind of a window of when that's going to happen. But I really do strongly believe that that's going to be very crucial to a lot of the planning going forward. The master plans are great and they're going to feed into it. And the only thing that concerns me about the master plans that we're talking about is we keep talking about it being related to the harbor, the downtown, and that has a peripheral effect upon the broader municipality. But at the end of the day, our mandate is growing our economy for the entire municipality. And when we focus so much on the urban aspects of it, we really want to make sure that we're not omitting our rural constituents and our rural advocates, because they're out there and they want to make sure that they're being heard, seen, and listened to. So that's why I think the strat plan is a little bit more all encompassing, and that visioning and that body is going to be maybe even a little more important than just some of the downtown work plans that we've got going on. So that's just another kind of final point on that. So if there's nothing else on this, then we will move on to items for consideration, and I see there are none on the agenda. So are there any committee? Okay, I could be mistaken on that.
No, I'm sorry, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't actually. Yes, thank you so much. We did have a recommendation there and, okay, so let's actually have a final vote on that. All in favor of receiving the report? Thank you. Now we'll move on to items for consideration. Good thing this is the last one. Nothing there. So again, moving on to committee inquiries. Does anyone have anyone for Allison or Derek? Seeing nothing. Okay. So communications, the committee will consider correspondence received by members of the public during each meeting. To share your comments, thoughts, or concerns with the members of the committee, the public can send an email to the Legislative Service Coordinator at dbruce@meaford.ca. When emails are received to this email address, they will be compiled into a correspondence list, which is then distributed to committee members prior to the meeting. The cover sheet of this list will be included on each meeting agenda. The contents of the correspondence list are not included on the public agenda to protect the privacy and personal information of those residents who choose to send in their thoughts and comments. Obviously, we can see there is no next meeting date. And just in final, I just want to thank all the members of the committee for taking the time over this past term to participate in this. We know it takes your time to actually be here and the reading and the thoughtful input that you've provided. Want you to know the council really appreciates everything that you've done and the efforts you've made. And hopefully, once we figure what the direction of these advisory committees are going to be in the future, hopefully you will reconsider joining us for future terms. But it is through work and the assistance of bodies like yourself that does make this work. So thank you very much. And Ron.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. One last item. Meaford has been in the news again, appeared in an article in Sun newspaper, being a unforgettable romantic hotspot in Ontario, and we were compared to Niagara-on-the-Lake, Stratford, Elora, Paris, Muskoka, and Meaford. Meaford, many who head to Georgian Bay tend to gravitate to the slopes of Blue Mountain and its fun village, but about 40 miles away is a gorgeous town of Meaford. It's a unique way to get a getaway and travel little ways from a water and get a unbelievable opportunity. So that was out of the Toronto Sun yesterday.
And they called it a romantic hotspot because you were their source, right?
So I'm appealing to all the gentlemen to make certain they don't forget Meaford and Valentine's Day.
Thanks for the added pressure. Oh, that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for that, Ron. Really appreciate that. And if there's nothing else, I will call the meeting adjourned.
End it like we always do, PDAC in Drake County, by clapping our hands.
Thank you.